In this tutorial, we will review basic cell formatting. We will learn how to change the appearance of the font and the cell. We will take a look at the Format Painter and also learn how to apply conditional formatting to our data. Let's begin by opening our demo file. Click on the File tab on the ribbon and select Demo File 2 from the list. This file does not look very pretty, so we're going to apply some formatting to the individual cells to make it more visually appealing and easier to read. Let's begin by selecting cell A1, which is the merged header cell that reads student grades. We can make this look more like a table header by changing the font, the color of it, the size of it. We can change the background color of the cell, and we can also put a border around it. To change the font, we are going to click on the font drop-down list in the font group, which is right here on the ribbon. Let's click on the drop-down list, and it will bring up all different types of fonts to choose from. I'm just going to select a simple Arial black for my table header. And since it is a header, I want to increase the size of the font, so I'm going to increase it from 11 to 14. Now I am going to change the background color of my cell by clicking the background color button, the fill color button on the font in the font group on my ribbon. It looks like a little paint can. I'm going to click the down arrow right next to it, and I'm just going to select a nice dark blue for my header. You can't really see the black font in this dark blue header, so I'm going to change the color of my font to a lighter color by selecting my font color button, which is directly next to my fill color button. So this is my font color. I'm going to click the drop down arrow. I'm just going to select a nice gold for my font color. I'm going to use the same techniques to change the appearance of my column headers, make them a little bit easier to read and make them stand out a little bit more from the rest of the data in the cells below. So I'm going to highlight all of these together, and I'm going to do the same action to all four of these cells at the same time because I've got them highlighted together. I'm going to change my font again. I'm going to click on the drop down box, and again I'm going to use that same Arial black. Now I'm going to make them italic. These are font style buttons underneath the font style selection drop-down list. You can make them bold, italic, underline. If you expand this, you can make it double underline. I'm just going to make mine italic. And as you can see, since we've increased the size of the font by changing the font and applied that italic, you can't really see the column headers. The columns aren't wide enough, so I'm going to use that trick we used on our last tutorial, and I'm just going to make columns a little wider by double clicking, holding until I see my arrows come up, and then I'm going to double click those arrows. Now I'm going to want to change my background color to a corresponding color. I'm going to use the gold that I used for my table header font color, and then I'm going to actually change my font color to a nice white. And then I am going to apply a border by selecting the border. I've selected both rows. I'm going to apply the border. I'm just going to apply all borders here. And then I'm going to select the individual rows, and I'm going to apply a thick border to each individual row. So it looks like a nice little header right there. I'm going to format the data that is in the table underneath these headers to make it a little bit easier to read. I find that when I'm going through a lot of data, especially spreadsheets, the easiest way to read them is to use alternating colors for every row. You don't want anything too fancy or too loud because it's hard on your eyes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this first row right here, and I'm only going to change the fill color, the background color. I'm going to click on my little paint can. I'm just going to select a very light gray. It's not too hard, but it's enough of a contrast with the cells underneath it that it makes it easier for me to not get the lines of data confused. So what I want to do is I want to copy one gray row and one white row all the way down to fill the rest of my table out. So I'm going to do that by selecting a gray row and a white row. I'm going to right click on those two rows, and I'm going to click copy. Then I'm going to come down to cell A5. I'm going to highlight all the way across, and I'm going to highlight all the way down to highlight the rest of my data. Then I'm going to do a special paste. So I'm going to right click on my cells and I'm going to click Paste Special. That is going to open my Paste Special dialog box. I'm going to select Formats. That's all I want to copy to the rest of those cells is the formats. I don't want to copy anything else. So I'm going to click the OK button, and if I hit my Escape key to deselect everything, you can see that I have copied my black and white stripes all the way down. So again, I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm just going to apply a thick black border around all of it. So this looks like a pretty nice table. It looks like it's pretty easy to read. This table over here is still looking pretty bland, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Format Painter to copy the format of this table to this table. So I'm going to do that by highlighting the whole table. So I've highlighted the whole table, and I'm going to click the Format Painter button, which is up on my clipboard group on the ribbon. You've got, this is the little scissors are a cut, little two papers are a copy, and then once you've done one of these actions, the clipboard lights up and you can click that to paste. This is another way of using the Control-C, Control-X, Control-V that we talked about, and using copy and paste from the right-click menus available in the cells. But for this particular copy and paste, I'm going to select this little paintbrush right here. This is called the Format Painter, and you use it to copy formatting from one place and apply it to another place inside your worksheet or inside your workbook. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm just going to left-click and hold. I'm just going to go all the way down my data. And as you can see, it's copied just about everything. The borders are not exactly right because my destination table is not the same size as my original table. So all I have to do to remedy that is highlight the whole thing. I'm just going to apply thick black border the whole thing. And then I'm going to expand my columns because they're not quite the right size. And then you can see that it looks now just like the other table. They look the same. Another type of formatting that we can use is called conditional formatting. And what that does is you can make a rule in Excel and apply that formatting rule to an individual cell or group of cells. If the data inside that cell meets the rule that you've established in your conditional formatting guide, then you can tell Excel to format that particular cell a different way than it normally is formatted. So what I would like to do is I would like to see anybody in the class that is failing the class. I would like their grade to stand out to me so that I can address that issue with the student prior to the course ending. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of my letter grades right here. Oops, and I don't want to go that far down. I'm just going to highlight my letter grades right there. I'm going to go up and I'm going to click in the Styles group on the ribbon. And I'm going to click Conditional Formatting and highlight Cells Roles. I'm going to go down to the one that says Equal To. And I'm going to put Format Cells that are equal to F. This is my rule. So if the letter grade that appears in this column is an F, I'm going to tell it to format that column with a red border so that I know that I need to address it with that student, and I'm just going to click OK. And then if I click off of there, you can see I only have one student that is failing the class that I would need to address her grade with her prior to the end of the season. So just to quickly review, you've got the font group up here that you can use to apply formatting to cells or whole groups of cells at one time. You can change the font, drop down. You can change the font size. You can make it bold, italic, underline, or double underline very easily. These two buttons will increase or decrease the size of the font of the cell that you have actively selected. You can apply borders, and there are all kinds of different borders. You can even draw your own border. You can change the fill color, which is the background color of the active cell, and you can even open that up. You have a lot of colors to pick from there. And then you can also change the fore color or the font color the same way you can change the fill color. And then if you want to open up the entire font dialog box, you just click this little button to expand it, and it will open up the Format Cells box with the font tab highlighted. And this is the same place that we use to change our data type formatting. It's just got a different tab highlighted. And you can select also your font your font style, your size, your underline or other text effects in here as well. I'm just going to hit cancel. And then in order to copy formatting from one cell to another, you would just select that cell, click the Format Painter button, and then click the destination cell that you want to copy that formatting to, and that copies just the formatting to that new cell. And then you also can apply conditional formatting by highlighting a group of cells and selecting the conditional formatting button under the Styles group in your ribbon, and you can create different sets of rules based on what you want to format differently. I think that's about it for this tutorial. Again, if you have any questions or if you get lost in something, you can always come back and review the tutorial, or you can visit the help link listed on the web page. Good luck with your homework assignment, and that's all for this tutorial.